Steelers Nation, it's that time of the year again. The moment we stop guessing and finally start seeing. After days and days of questions like how's so-and-so looking? And is that rookie really living up to the hype? We've reached the point where none of it's speculative anymore. Today is the first real day of football in Latro. Pads are on, collisions are real, and the truth finally begins to reveal itself. Chuck Noll Field is no longer just a place for routes on air or jog-through drills at exactly 1:55. In the afternoon, the Pittsburgh Steelers strapped on the gear, lined up face-to-face, and brought contact into the mix. That means today is the first time you can actually assess who's got it, who's pretending, and who's quietly ready to explode this season. Up until now, you might have heard about wide receivers making circus catches, defensive backs flying in for picks, or quarterbacks slinging it with confidence, and sure, all that is entertaining. We love seeing a one-handed grab or a slick toe tap at the sideline, and it gives fans and analysts plenty to chew on in the early days, but let's be real. None of that tells you the whole story. The truth is, nothing means much until the pads come on, because real football is played through contact. It's trench warfare, it's physicality, it's leverage and grit and how you respond when someone tries to knock you off your spot. And that all starts right now. There's always going to be buzz around guys like Jaylen Warren or Caleb Johnson. And justifiably so. We know what Warren can do. He's shown it. But now it's time to see what Caleb Johnson brings to the table when he's running into bodies instead of open grass. And on the defensive side, we've seen a lot of excitement around Jalen Ramsey. Not just because he can cover, which we know he can, but because he's coming up near the line of scrimmage, being used in ways that go beyond what we're used to. You're seeing him plugged into a defense that demands versatility and physicality. He's always been physical, that's no surprise. But now the Steelers are asking him to do more, and today, we finally get to see if that works. Still, for everything we're watching, the running backs, the secondary, the gadget plays, the highlight throws, the heart of this team still lives in the trenches. And for once, I'm not talking about the offensive line. We'll talk about them all year long. And most likely, we'll have to. But right now, today, my eyes are glued to the defensive front. Because this might just be the biggest X factor for the Steelers in 20-5. There have been flashes. You've seen Derek Harmon flash here and there. Black has shown signs that he can make an impact. But let's be honest, flashes aren't enough. Not anymore, not today. Today's the day. Those guys need to eat. And as their coach Carl Dunbar loves to say, it's time to eat. That's not just coach speak. That's the mentality of a defensive line trying to establish itself in a league where games are won in the trenches. And if we're talking about guys who need to take that next step, we have to bring up Keanu Benton. Today marks the start of what needs to be a reintroduction of Benton as a playmaker on this defense. It's time for him to get into the backfield, wreck plays, and show that he's more than just a rotational body. You can't hit the quarterback in camp. We all know that, but that doesn't mean you can't make your presence felt. Get back there, force pressure, pull that imaginary flag, and give us that TJ Watt kick when you know the play would have ended with the quarterback on his back in a live game. Because here's the reality, for all the talk about this defense, all the excitement around the secondary and the new additions, none of it works without the big guys up front doing their job. You can't have a shutdown secondary if the quarterback has all day to throw. You can't free up your linebackers to fly around and make plays if the line isn't eating space or drawing double teams. Everything, and I mean everything, starts up front. And that's why I'm not watching with hopeful eyes. I'm watching with expectations. There's one name, though, that I'm circling in thick black marker. One guy who, in my view, holds the key to transforming this defense from good to dominant. That guy is DeMarvin Leal, if he becomes what the Steelers hoped he would be when they took him. If he finally takes that jump and becomes not just a solid piece, but a real game changer. Everything around him becomes easier. You line him up next to Cam Hayward, and suddenly Cam's job gets simpler. He draws fewer doubles, gets more clean looks, and maybe has a bounce-back year even stronger than last season. You give TJ Watt a little more space, and now opposing offenses are thinking twice about shifting all their attention his way. The domino effect is real. One elite presence on the interior line can change the entire structure of your defense, and beyond just helping the stars, it gives the inside linebackers more freedom. You want to see Cole Holcomb and Patrick Queen do what they're capable of. You want to let them roam sideline to sideline, drop into coverage, shoot a gap now and then. Then give them a front line that controls the point of attack. Otherwise, they're stuck eating blocks instead of making plays. The truth is, for this Steelers team to contend, and I'm not just talking about sneaking into the playoffs or going 9-8, I mean really contend . There has to be one side of the ball that becomes elite. And let's be real here, that side isn't the offense. You want to dream about the offense being suddenly explosive and magical. That's your prerogative. Go ahead, dream, but from where I'm sitting, if the Steelers are going to make serious noise in 2025, it's going to be on the back of a top 5, maybe even top 3 defense. That's the bar. Not pretty good, not improved, special. And that starts now, not in week 1, not in the preseason opener. Right now, it starts in camp, in the contact, in the pad-popping moments that define who's ready and who's just along for the ride. That first-round pick they brought in, he has to be the catalyst. He has to bring fire. He has to set a tone that gets the rest of the line chasing his level. Because when you combine that with the rest of the core, with Watt, with Hayward, with Fitzpatrick patrolling the back, now you've got something. Now you've got an identity. But speaking of identity, let's shift for a second to the guy who's tasked with shaping it all, Mike Tomlin. There's always this question floating around. Is Tomlin going to do things differently this year? Is he going to break from the old habits, the old ways? The easy answer is always no. Because let's face it, Tomlin doesn't change. He doesn't admit mistakes publicly, and he certainly doesn't rebuild his approach every offseason. But here's where things get interesting. This year, things might actually look different. And that's not because Tomlin suddenly decided to reinvent himself. It's because the roster changed. The construction of this team, the way it was built, almost demands a shift. He talks about positionless football and those off-the-record moments. It's something he believes in more than people realize, having players who can float between roles, adjust on the fly, not be tied to just one job. That's been part of his language behind closed doors for a while now, but now it looks like the roster finally reflects that philosophy. Between him, Omar Khan, and Andy Weidel, they built a group that's smart, aggressive, adaptable, the kind of defense that doesn't need to fit into old-school boxes. That's exciting. That's something to watch. So yes, I do think we're going to see a new approach defensively, not just in the secondary. Though that'll be a big piece. You're going to see linebackers with more freedom, pass rushers moved around like chess pieces, and defensive backs who can slide into different roles snap to snap. And while I voice my doubts about some decisions, like letting Landon Roberts walk, I also understand that this team is betting big on speed, intelligence, and flexibility. If Cole Holcomb is healthy and back to form, that's a game changer, because now you've got 3 linebackers who can really run, really cover, and really make plays. And the only way that whole equation works is if the pass rush stays dynamic and disruptive. You bring TJ closer to the middle sometimes. You let Ramsey blitz. You ask that first-round pick to bring consistent heat. You push Keanu Benton to do the same. Suddenly, you've got chaos, and in the NFL, that's how you win. One thing's for sure. This defense should not look like last year's version. Not in scheme, not in personnel, not in energy. If you're in the stadium watching this team line up in week 1, and it looks like 2024 all over again, then something went wrong. This should be a faster, more aggressive, more versatile unit. One that reflects the evolution of the game and the mindset of a coach. Finally willing to lean into change, even if he won't admit it out loud. And look, let's not go crazy. Clock management probably isn't getting a modern overhaul. Some things never change. But what we are seeing, finally, is a roster that fits the kind of football Tomlin's always quietly wanted to play. Now it's about execution. Now it's about making it real, and that starts with days like today, in La Trobe, with the pads on, and the stakes rising. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In the ever-evolving world of the NFL, rumors and unexpected statements often stir the pot. And a recent comment from Seahawks star wide receiver DK Metcalf has certainly ignited the rumor mill. Metcalf, known for his explosive plays and larger-than-life presence on the field, reportedly made a surprising and somewhat critical remark about Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker T.J. Watt, one of the league's premier defensive talents. Though nothing has been confirmed officially, the buzz around this statement is growing rapidly among fans and analysts alike. The rumor started when Metcalf, during what was described as an offhand comment in an interview, appeared to downplay Watt's impact and abilities. Sources close to the situation say Metcalf questioned Watt's consistency and suggested that the linebacker, despite his undeniable talent, sometimes fails to live up to the hype. During crucial moments, this was a shock to many, considering Watt's reputation as a relentless pass rusher and a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Speculation is now rampant about what could have prompted METCALF's sharp words. Some insiders hint at a possible underlying tension between the two players, perhaps stemming from previous on-field confrontations or contrasting playing styles. METCALF's physical and aggressive approach as a receiver often puts him directly against defenders like Watt, who are known for their toughness and tenacity. Could there be a brewing rivalry here that fans haven't fully witnessed yet? Others suggest that METCALF's remarks might have been exaggerated or taken out of context. In the heat of competition, players sometimes make provocative statements to get inside the heads of their opponents or to fire up their own team. If that's the case, this could just be a strategic move by Metcalf to rattle Watt and the Steelers' defense ahead of a potential matchup. After all, psychological warfare is a subtle but effective weapon in the NFL. The Seahawks camp has not officially commented on the situation, and the Steelers organization has also remained silent, which only adds fuel to the speculative fire. Fans on social media are divided. Some back Metcalf's confidence, while others defend Watt's legacy and achievements. Analysts are already debating whether this tension could escalate into a memorable showdown on the field, or if it will quietly dissipate as just another fleeting controversy. With both players being among the elite at their positions, the possibility of a head-to-head clash where these comments come to a boiling point makes for exciting anticipation. If the rumors hold any truth, upcoming games between Seattle and Pittsburgh could carry an extra edge, as each athlete looks to prove their supremacy not just with words, but through sheer performance. For now, the NFL world watches closely, waiting to see if DK Metcalf's provocative remarks about TJ Watt will spark a new rivalry, or simply remain a whisper in the wind. Either way, the chatter has already added a fresh layer of intrigue to the season, reminding us all that beyond the stats and highlights, the human drama of the sport keeps fans hooked. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.